All right, welcome back. We got week 5 of the Legion of the Bad Boys Fantasy Football League here. Just going to be me this week again. Asked a couple of guys, and they ended up not being able to, but they said they would be down in the future, which is totally fine. It's kind of my bad for kind of waiting for a little too long, and then once again, I'm trying to bang this video out right before Thursday Night Football. So I got my Grogu hat on here, as you can tell, and I'm just going to be riffing this here by myself once again. Trying to make this one a little bit quicker. We're going to jump right into the first matchup here. It is actually the Taking Out the Trash segment. It's me versus Ian here. I beat him 142 to 97. Some highlights for my team were my two backup running backs here in Rashad White and Rico Dowdle. Um, these guys came in clutch for me. You kind of assumed since the starters were out and they were getting the majority of the carries. Rashad White, we didn't exactly know if he was going to, if Sean Tucker was going to eat into a little bit. Um, But that being said, they still overperformed what my starters would have done in their place. So that was really good for my team this week. Rico Dowdle with almost 31 points. Crazy. Probably one of the better running back performances we've seen this year. 206 rushing yards and 28 receiving. It's insane. Bo Nix had a solid game, 17.8. George Pickens had a really nice play, touchdown. Only 2 catches, but still putting up a decent fantasy week from here with 12.7. Keenan Allen's been slipping a little bit. Kind of assumed after the 3 touchdown start to the season that maybe his numbers would go down a little bit. I was trying to trade him away to some guys, still valuable, but they didn't want to buy the hype after the 3 weeks, which is totally understandable. And then another backup running back for me here, Michael Carter, 15.8, got him off the waivers after Trey Benson went down. It was a nice pickup. And then my start of the week um, who's the only position where I truly felt that I had like a choice of who I could play, and I went and picked up Theo Johnson after that Malik Neighbors injury. I feel like the Giants owed me something after taking away my wide receiver one. He came up with like two touchdowns this game, 33 yards and 6 receptions, which was great. Lions defense doing it for me again. Overall, solid week here. A little Stephon Diggs emergence, maybe. It was kind of a revenge game against Buffalo, but kind of hope that these numbers are repeatable here for these last 2 weeks. Coming off that ACL, you hope that he's kind of just ramping back into it and can continue to work for me. Going over to Ian's team here, bright spot being Justin Fields. Is a great ad by him. Justin Fields is looking great in the games he's playing. He's looking like the top quarterback, honestly. Just so many rushing yards, scrambling all over the place, and throwing them. Um, I think Justin Fields could be a great QB going forward for Ian. Omarion Hampton going down with the injuries, tough. He was able to score 10 points before getting hurt. David Montgomery, nice week once again. Seems a little hot and cold here for David, but in those games where you kind of know the Lions might be scoring a decent amount of points, he's a very solid play. BTJ with 10. Ian definitely would like to see those numbers go up eventually. Um, but for the time being, he's still being looked at as maybe the top receiver on this team. But Trevor Lawrence, can he string together a good season for him, or should they go back and try to get Mac Jones back from the 49ers? and he had the plug in. He had the plug in Slayton because Pearsall's out. Um, yeah, Travis Etienne, not a fantastic game. That Chiefs run defense is pretty good. Even averaging 4 yards a carry, which is pretty good. But yeah, Rams defense -2, unfortunate, and then Fairbairn with 19 is very solid there for Ian. 97 points. That's kind of I've been saying it every episode, but you want to be above 100 points. You feel good, or you feel like, yeah, my team put up a respectable week. Maybe I can get a win, and then you really want to try to get in between that 110 to 120 range to really feel like you're winning the majority of your matchups. But 97, that's much better. Ian's team's kind of trending points wise up from the beginning of the year, I think. Let's see. Where's he at? 77, 75, 92, 100, 97. So it's trending in the right direction for his points, even though his team's getting hurt. I think he could very much, well, turn it around. He's dooming currently because his team is not performing well and they're getting hurt, but I wouldn't give up hope there. So, yeah, I took Ian down 142 to 97. Next matchup here, we got Daniel beating Bryce 122 to 109. Kind of going back, like Daniel's hitting that 110 to 120 range, and Bryce is just falling short of that. So that's the difference there a little bit. Josh Allen will always put up a decent game for you. 19 points here for him. Derrick Henry's kind of the question mark here for Daniel's team. When are they getting Lamar back? When are those defensive pieces for the Ravens going to be back to where the Ravens can kind of become that full team that we know them all to be? I don't think this is definitely not a throwaway year for the Ravens, even though they're starting 1-4, I think. Um, they can still pull it together in time for the playoffs, and Derrick Henry can have a great run for the rest of the season. Or he could not, Daniel, if you don't believe it, you can send me some trade offers. Jordan Mason here with 11.1. It's a good game. It's not fantastic. Um, but for the RB2 on your team that you kind of drafted later in the draft is like kind of a backup flex guy if Aaron Jones went down. Um, he's filling in that position for you, and he's doing a decent job at it. Garrett Wilson continues to shine, even if they're losing. He's getting the end zone targets, and he's really good. 10 targets there for Garrett Wilson, 16 points. Jalen Waddle is starting to emerge as that wide receiver one that we know he can be when Tyreek Hill goes down. So Daniel's kind of stumbling upon that great asset there. And Tony Ferguson's kind of been the bright spot of Daniel's team here. He's got 20 points this week. Insane target share for tight end. We'll see what happens when CeeDee Lamb comes back, how these numbers will change. Maybe this is a sell high candidate here for Daniel if he chooses. Um, but if Tony's putting up these, or not Tony, Tony Ferguson, the UFC fighter. If Jake Ferguson's putting up these type of numbers here for you, you're very happy. You love that out of your tight end. Texans defense putting up 12, which is great. Kind of playing them against that Cooper Rush Ravens team. Kind of a stabbing yourself a little bit with the Derrick Henry play and the Texans, but it's fantasy football. You gotta play for the most points that you think you're gonna score. Pacheco's kind of been a dud. Mike Evans being out stinks. And drop Tank Dell. I think that's kind of what we know of Daniel's team. He's got handcuff and Ollie Gordon, but overall, really good week here for due process. Moving to 3-2. We got Bryce's team here. Scoring 109 and losing. It's not what you hope when you score 109 points, but it does happen sometimes. Um, Jared Goff putting up 20, Javonte Williams putting up 26, and that Colts defense was a great play. Quentin Johnson was maybe the difference maker here. If he had a normal Quentin Johnson game where he's putting up that high, like 19, 22, you could have squeaked it out, but that didn't happen. Um, and then Hunter Henry 5.6. You had Josh Jacobs on bye. Was there a start here that could have benefited you? Travis Kelce in? No, don't think so. No, so there was no combination here that would have won Bryce the game. But you love to see Javonte Williams just go crazy. He's a dog. Yeah, good job, Bryce. And next matchup, we got Kyle B beating Hot Diggity Dog 90 to 83. Kyle B squeaking this one out in a little stink fest here. I think this is the lowest scoring matchup of the week. Yep. Dak Prescott here scoring almost a third of his points. I think that might have been a little waiver pickup because Lamar's been out. Devonta Smith had a good game against the Broncos, 15.4. He was targeted a bunch, and Jamar Chase had a lot of those like late game touchdowns that really helped squeak this one out for you. 26 points there for Jamar, but that's what you hope to get out of your number one, not number one overall, but your first overall pick for your team, number two overall. Yeah, for Kyle B's team here, um, he's kind of waiting. He's kind of hoping playing Jameis and Williams for that boom game that we know that he can give. And then waiting for Lamar to come back, and Kyle B's team might be back for a little bit. We never know. Going over to Parker's team, um, key players here are JSN and Jalen Hurts. JSN's been an absolute beast. Um, what's he averaging now? 16.3. Bunch of targets, looking really good. Sam Darnold slinging that ting. Um, Jalen Hurts 19.5 against the Broncos. I don't think I saw one tush push this whole game. So no tush pushes here for Jalen Hurts. Maybe that's why he lost. Um, and then Genti having a respectable 13.4 point game in a really, really bad blowout against the Colts. Um, yeah, let's see. Mm, yeah, Chase Brown has been a stinky, stinky asset so far. We'll see what happens when Joe Flacco comes in, if he kind of opens things up for this Bengals offense. I really don't think it's going to happen. I think the majority of the issue is in that Bengals O-line. Way too many pressures on the quarterback. Can't get the run game going. Like, yeah, I don't know. Seahawks defense putting up -5 is also not going to help you get that win, unfortunately. And it be your own guys. It be your own guys here, but Kyle B taking down Hawk Diggity Dog here, 90 to 83. Next matchup, we got Joey versus Connor. Connor beating Joey 103.9 to 95.8. For Connor's team here, overall solid week. We're seeing a lot of these teams in like the upper 90s to low 100 range. And that's kind of, I feel like, naturally where people will land week to week. So you're happy if you're Connor to kind of squeak out this win in this close game here. Only a 8 point difference. Jaden Daniels here for Connor. 17 points. Jahmyr Gibbs 15. Quinshon Judkins 13. Marv 11. Sutton 14. These are all very good, very average games. No real duds here besides Mark Andrews 3.2. Yeah, difference of the kicker as well this week, which you hate to see if you're Joey, but that's the way the cookie crumbles, especially when your kicker gets injured during the game. Yeah, overall very respectable, even game here from Connor. For Joey's team, Drake May didn't have a fantastic week. Ken Walker didn't have a fantastic week either. He's kind of getting those touchdowns snapped from him by Charbonnet. But I mean, averaging 8.6 a carry, 4.3. It's only a matter of time before Ken Bone Walker just charges in and gets a bunch of touchdowns. You feel like great game for here from Kyren Williams. Fantasy-wise, you hate to see him fumble on the 1 yard line to lose him the game. But for fantasy, you're happy. 27.1. That's got to be one of the highest performances of the week there for Kyren. 14 from Amon-Ra, 12.6 from Addison, 12.4 from Warren. Yeah, the buys are obviously hurting Joey this week. His two of his top receivers on bye. You just hope that your team can put up a reasonable game with these buys that you have. And they did, 95.8. It's a reasonable game, but if you're going up against IBM Watson, you're going to have to come a little bit harder than that. Pause. Yeah, RJ putting up 4.5 is kind of a desperation start there. I mean, he had a great week last week, but it was against that stinky Cincinnati defense. So the targets and the share of the ball there for Harvey are lower because Dobbins is kind of going crazy. But Connor beating Joey 103-95. Congratulations, Connor. We got Jimmy Stuffers here beating Granny Perks 103-87. For Jimmy's team, I made a joke earlier in the group chat. It was Christian McCaffrey and Puka played each other on Thursday Night Football, and they combined for like 43 points. And I said, all right, good job, Jimmy, scoring 43 points this week. But I was wrong. Justin Herbert put up a pretty 14.6 is pretty mid-game for a quarterback. Chargers have kind of been slipping a little bit within the recent weeks, losing to the Giants and the Commanders. Had a hot start to the season, but we'll see moving forward how Herb's going to do. He should do plenty good against Miami next week. Trevion still looking for those carries, looking for those targets in that New England backfield, so maybe he's not a start until they start switching over Ramondre and his fumbles. But Bill on the bench, 26. You're happy if you're Jack. You see that. You see him getting the carries, so he can be a solid running back 2 for you in the future, and then you kind of can play around with that flex spot a little bit. Tucker Kraft on bye. He'll go in for Harold. Overall, solid week. Calvin Ridley kind of had a little bounce-back game. I was trying to buy him from Jack before this, but 10 targets, 131 yards. That's what you like to see from him. Here for Noah's team. Kyler putting up 15, decent. Pollard, 13, decent. Breece Hall, 15, decent. Adams, 11.3. Laporta, 17.7. A.J. Brown, 6.8. He's going up against Pat Surtain all day, so kind of a tough one there. Would this Patty Mahomes start made a difference? 11 points. No, it wouldn't have. Bijan on bye as well, so being able to have Bijan in this flex spot here instead of Chris Godwin would have definitely got you the win. But that's not how fantasy works. You gotta suffer through those bye weeks. Overall, 2 really good squads going against each other here, and kind of a low-scoring game. Not too much to say about that. Keegan versus Kyle Spalding. Congratulations on the win, Jack. Keegan versus Kyle Spalding. 131-109. Keegan continues to show that his team can score over 120 points frequently, which is very, very scary. We've had him ranked highly in the commish lists. Let's see. Oh, ooh, see what I'm looking at before there. Move this over. Okay, I don't have it, but we've had Keegs 1, 1, 1, and then we had him 4 week 1. So Keegan's been sitting atop the commish list for quite a while now, and it's proven. JT 30 points. He's an absolute beast, averaging 22 a game. Achan also a beast, averaging 16, 13.6 this week. Tet McMillan, you got to think he's might get going here, but he's really capped. You kind of hope to see him have a good game against this Dolphins team, but it did not come. So maybe Tet can be moved down towards that flex spot, and you can kind of play him as a flex guy for the season until maybe he proves that he can step in a little bit. Debo 19.6, great game from Debo. Waller 16.3, good game from Waller. Nico 14 points. Ibuka 27.8 on the bench. Keegan's sitting in a really good spot right now. Yeah, really dominant week for Keegs. Kind of insane. Going over to Kyle Spalding's team here. Baker Mayfield's a dog, averaging 21.1. James Cook, this is kind of the big surprise of the week. James Cook has been so solid. 18, 26, 19, 21, and then he's got 4.9 against the Pats. None of those touchdowns are coming in this week for him, unfortunately. Dobbins, very solid week, 15 points. Jefferson, 15.8. Pittman, solid 12 points. Kincaid, 13.8. Kim Scatabo, 11. I don't think there's any changes here that Kyle could have made with his current roster to get this win. But you do love seeing Njoku and Rashid putting up really, really respectable numbers on your bench. Yeah, it's hard to beat a team that scores 131, but 109 from Kyle Spalding is very solid. You're happy with the performance, especially 0 from your defense and 4.9 from your RB1. Yeah, congratulations, Keeks. We're going to move over. I'm going to actually talk about one trade that we've had that happened last night here. Terry McLaurin and Breece Hall getting moved by Noah for Deebo Samuel, Romeo Doubs, and Zach Charbonnet. Obviously, the main piece in this deal is Breece Hall and Deebo Samuel. Deebo's been playing great with no Terry. Terry's in this trade as well, so Keegan's kind of banking on when Terry comes back that he plays a significant role and maybe Deebo's numbers start going down. Got to spread at the target somehow. Breece Hall is I think a buy low candidate on everybody's board. He's been getting the carries. Braylon Allen has been ruled out for like 10 weeks. He's getting the receptions. Playing Denver this week will be a tough matchup, but Carolina, Cincinnati, Cleveland, tough matchup. This is tough matchup, but Ravens, Falcons, Miami, Jacksonville, New Orleans, and then Patriots again. It's a very, very favorable schedule for Breece Hall. I'm kind of expecting him to bounce up to like a fringe running back 1 to running back 2. He's 22 right now, so he is an RB2, but I think this is going up to like top 10 to top 15 here in the next few weeks. I think he's a really good ad for Keegs, and he threw in Zach Charbonnet. Zach Charbonnet is probably the best handcuff in fantasy right now. I can't think of too many more that could be over Charbonnet because he's obviously proven that he will be the guy. He's already getting into the Ken Walker touches. He's getting the touchdowns. They're bringing him in for the touchdowns. And then Romeo Doubs is kind of a throw-in player a little bit. He had a big 3 touchdown week last week, but that can't be sustainable. He'll be a solid target for Jordan Love moving forward. We'll see what happens when Christian Watson comes back. and the development of Matt Golden. But for now, I think Romeo Dobbs might sit on the bench unless Noah runs into some bye weeks. Um, and then you could throw him into a flex or maybe a wide receiver 2 position. We'll see. Um, Overall, I would think a pretty even trade. I think having the value of that running back from Brees Hall is definitely the what it's the main value of this trade. Keegan getting his third running back, all in the top 20. He's got Achan, he's got Jonathan Taylor, and he's got an emerging Brees Hall that could go crazy. So Keegan adding the best piece of this trade here in Brees Hall. It makes Keeg's team a little scary, I will not lie. But we'll see. Moving into the offers report. I'm just seeing this DJ Moore for Keegan here, 118 for DJ Moore. It's very interesting. With the Roma Dunze coming into town, DJ Moore has been kind of on the back burner, but he is a great receiver. We know that, and maybe he can start spreading his wings later in the season. Biggest claim this week was Hassan Haskins with $169. This coming with the Omarion Hampton to IR news. It was between Haskins and Vidal, who's down here on the list that we'll get to, for the starting running backs there in LA for the Chargers. I wasn't too big on either of these guys. You just think it was kind of a toss-up between the two. Haskins a little bit more than Vidal, but I think Hampton is more on the side of coming back sooner rather than later. So this is a temporary ad and not a handcuff for like a potential season-ending injury. So that's why they're a little less valued. 169 is a good price though. Next bid 103. Kyle B picking up Kareem Hunt for 59. Kareem Hunt's been he's kind of been a low touch, high production guy for the Chiefs. I think scoring a lot of touchdowns, if I'm not mistaken. 3 touchdowns on the season. He's kind of some of these games getting up to 10 touches, which is good. So it's a good sign. Michael Bagley 41. Joey dropping the bag on a kicker. A new kicker for the Colts. Colts scoring a lot of points, so this makes a lot of sense here for Joey. I'm picked up the Patriots defense for 31, a little steep for a defense, but I am a firm believer that their upcoming schedule will be pretty nice to them in the Saints, the Titans, and the Browns. Matt Stafford here, $27 from Ian. I think Ian was looking to kind of replace his QB this week since Justin Fields is going up against the Broncos in London, so it's kind of an iffy game, a lot of variability there, but this makes sense for Ian, 27, and he's been QB 6 on the year, so great start to the year from Stafford. Keegan picking up Chris Boswell for $26. Boswell's been solid, a couple stinker games here, but you see these first 2 weeks and you get excited, so it makes sense from Keegs. Coming down here, Vidal for $21 for Joey. So like what I said earlier, kind of just getting a piece of that Chargers backfield until Omarion Hampton comes back. Daniel picking up the Steelers defense for 12. They're playing Cleveland this week and then Cincinnati, so it makes sense. I think it's a really good pickup from Daniel. Ian picking up Troy Franklin for 3. Troy's been a guy that, when inserted into the Broncos offense, has been really good for them, but not any consistency here. I think Ian's throwing him in because he has injury, and maybe some buys. But Mason Taylor for $1. This is kind of surprising. Mason Taylor was kind of a big target for tight end this week. 12 targets for the Jets last week. Maybe people are worried about that Denver defense. But $1 I feel like is a steal for him. Parker picking up his dog, AJ Barner. He's kind of emerged as a really good end zone target there for the Seahawks. Josh Downs for $0 for Keegs. Yeah, just trying to get another piece of this Colts offense. Kind of a slow start for Downs, no touchdowns, all single-digit scoring. Maybe Keegs is seeing something in the future for him there. All right, getting into the commish list here. At number 12, it has not changed. It's Kyle B. Kyle B's team has been struggling with injury and bad luck. Yeah, not too much new news here for Kyle B. James Conner going down is hurting his team. Lamar going down is hurting his team. And then that Travis Etienne trade for Jameson Williams has not treated him well at all. So he's struggling for that RB2 position right now. He's got Kareem Hunt in there. He's got Tongas in there now until George Kittle comes back. Yeah, but not too many bright spots here for Kyle B. Number 11, we have Ian. Ian's team has been struggling with injury. It's been struggling with bad luck with BTJ, and David Montgomery's one of those hard guys to value because he is so boom bust. You feel like he'll get it going when the Lions are scoring a lot of points, but in like a week where they're struggling to score 1.2, they kind of look to Jameer as that RB1 on the team. So it's a tough spot. CeeDee Lamb being out, and then Hampton going out to the IR. Yeah, it's you can kind of tell these bottom teams are getting kind of plagued by injuries and some bad luck. Ricky Pearsall out as well. Yeah, Ian's team, I think brighter days are ahead, but for now, we're at 11. Next, we have Parker's team. I might have moved Parker's team down a little bit. The Genty resurgence has been nice for him. Kind of proven that he is that guy he was in college. These last couple of weeks have been nice to him. Jalen Hurts is nice. And then you get into these guys like DeAndre Swift and Zay Flowers and Chase Brown, where you're really struggling. They're kind of hitting their lower floor that you would hope for when you were drafting them. So that's kind of why Parker's team is down here a little bit. Some inconsistencies from some of his guys that he needs to start every week. JSN's been great for him. Yeah, 23. He's getting targets. He's getting touchdowns. He's looking like an elite guy in the league right now, so Parker's very happy about that. And a lot of these guys down here on the bench, like Aomander and Horton, are young prospects that can be good, but they just aren't emerging as very consistent, solid guys. Horton's been great though. Kick return, I think, here, and then getting some of that end zone love as well. Going down to 9, we have Daniel. Daniel's team, unlucky with the injuries in Baltimore. Derrick Henry has been struggling with those, putting up some bad weeks. But I said it earlier, Daniel, you're kind of hoping that the Ravens kind of come back, they get some of their guys back. Taking a water drink, or 1 second. But some of the bright spots here: Garrett Wilson, Jalen Waddle, Jake Ferguson. These guys have been great to you. They've been holding you up as well as Josh Allen. And you got Mason on the bench. You got Mike Evans, um, who's out, who will be coming back, and he'll be a solid guy for you. I think the future is bright here for Daniel, but that RB room and the questions around the RB room right now is why you're falling. Number 8, we have Connor. Connor's team has been rising. He was down low for a couple weeks there, and that I kind of tiered him out the red, yellow, and green tiers. Kind of feel like the blocks of these rankings where the guys that are in the same tier are all kind of similar. Maybe not. Kyle B's team's really hurting. Um, but yeah, red tier. And then yellow tier here, to start off, we got Connor. Jaden Daniels, very solid QB. Gibbs, very solid running back. Judkins, very solid running back. Very strong core. And then he's got guys like Marv and Chris Olave, who are the number ones on their team. But the way that the team is, they're not great, so they're not getting that consistent volume in that consistency in their fantasy points being scored. Cortland Sutton here has been great for Connor. If he didn't have the 1.1 week, he would be a top 10 receiver this year. Cortland Sutton's a dog. Yeah, T Higgins, it's great. You're in a good spot that you can put T Higgins on your bench and start like an Olave and be okay. And maybe this is why your team maybe is not in this red tier as well, because you have that leeway in T Higgins and Chris Olave. Um, Ramondre here. Ramondre's still the lead back in New England. It's kind of crazy how he was put on the waivers. And you got Aaron Jones coming back. I think the outlook for Connor's team's good, and you should be happy where you're at. You're 3-2. Yeah, very solid. Next is my team. My team's very interesting. I think with the Chuba and Bucky injuries, um, having these backups come in and take the majority of the snaps in the backfield is very beneficial for me. I am a little worried once Chuba comes back that this backfield will get muddied very quickly. But less worried about it with Bucky and Rashad White. But that still could happen, and I could be in a pickle. And I feel like that's why I'm ranking my team a little lower. Bowers coming back from the injury. And Pickens, Allen, Diggs, and Metcalf I feel like are a very solid receiving group for me. I don't really have like an elite guy. I mean, Pickens for the time being with CD out, I would feel like is in that elite category. But looking into the future, I don't think Pickens as the wide receiver 1 on my team might be a little rough. Yeah, I have myself at 8, 7. Noah at 6. I think I dropped Noah down 1 spot after the trade, but I think he'll be just fine. Bijan's great. Devonta Adams is great. You got a feeling that A.J. Brown, after that Eagles game, will start getting a lot more, or not the Eagles game, the Broncos game, will start getting a lot more targets. Yeah, 8, 9, 10, 8. I guess he's been getting targeted. But it's AJ Brown. It'll iron out. You just know it will. He could be a random guy that could be traded in the actual NFL here soon, potentially. We'll see. It'd be kind of crazy, but yeah, Debo's been great. We'll see what happens when Terry comes back. Laporta's been good to you. He had a great week last week. Kind of showing that he can be that tight end that he was 2 years ago. I'm not super high on Pollard and Spears. I think that's why you're kind of down in that this yellow block range at number 7. Yeah, but overall, I think a solid team. Number 5, we have Jack. Jack's team here, you can just see the holes around his like elite players. Herbert, McCaffrey, maybe Bill, now that he's getting those touches, can kind of ascend up into that top tier with Puka and McCaffrey. But Puka, and then Tucker Kraft, I think these are all really solid guys. And then you're really that wide receiver two in the flex spot. You kind of hope that McConkey can find some consistency in that Chargers offense. Same with Ridley. I feel like those two guys are kind of in the same spot. Um, and we got Jalen Coker on the bench. I mean, this guy is probably going to come out here and score 15 a game minimum. Incredibly giga brain ad here from Jack for 200. Um, got him early too. The price is only going up. Yeah, Jack's team solid. Number 4, we got Cal Spalding. We're getting in the green tier now, where I think all these top 4 guys are all in the same area. Maybe Keegs' team can, Joey's team. Who else? Bryce's team. But for Kyle here, Baker Mayfield's a great QB to have. James Cook, a great RB to have. J.K. Dobbins, a great RB to have. Once Kyle's team gets Rashee Rice and Justin Jefferson in these two slots, it's gonna be looking really deadly. It's gonna be looking real deadly, and you have the option of Scatterboo or Warren in that flex. Kyle's team is looking very, very good. For Bryce here, Bryce has a very solid running back room. I would say it was number 1, but now with the Brees trade, maybe not. We'll still give it to Bryce here. Saquon, Josh Jacobs, Javonte Williams is a juggernaut of a running back room. Kind of the questions for Bryce's team are his receivers. Xavier Worthy and Quentin Johnson, I feel like, are very good options for him. But if we do see some dip in production from these two guys, I'm a little worried that the guys he has on his bench are not going to be worthy of being started, but might have to. So I think this is a little scary for Bryce. But these two are going to have to show me a little bit more bad consistency for me to drop Bryce down, because this RB room is too good. At number 2, we have Joey. Joey's team's dominant. Where is he at? Martini Police. Joey's team is dominant. The wide receiver room in Amon-Ra, Ramadunze, Drake London, Jordan Addison is killer. It's kind of like the opposite of Bryce a little bit. But for Joey's side, Kyron Williams and Ken Walker they're respectable RBs, RB8, RB17. Yeah, I would say, oh, my mouse disconnected. I would say this is why Joey is above Bryce, because he has these two RBs that he can lean on and not feel like he. All right, what are we doing here? This team worries me less in the future than Bryce's does. But yeah, Tyler Warren, tight end 3 on the season. Joey's team is very good. Once again, we have Keegs for, I think, 4 weeks in a row at number 1. Keegan's team is looking mad scary. JT, HN, Brees Hall are absolute deadly trio to have. And then on top of that, you have Nico Collins and Ibuka for your receiver spots. You also have Terry McLaurin, and you have Tetaroa McMillan. So you got about maybe 2 or 3 guys that you feel comfortable plugging in to your starting lineup that are on your bench, and these guys can be useful on other teams. So the depth of Keegan's team is very good, and the top end value is also very good. Yeah, Keeg's team, I think Keegs and Joey are probably in a tier of their own, and then Kyle and Bryce in that probably that A tier. Um, so yeah, so maybe I would put these like a little like darker green. Put this a little darker red. Yeah. So this is how I would have this. This is the groupings of the teams. Um, yeah, and that's the commish list for the week. Thank you for tuning in. Sorry I'm by myself again, but I guess we need some of those weeks to fill the gaps a little bit. Expect someone next week for sure. I will 100% lock it down. Yeah, and good luck tonight, boys. Whoever has anybody playing in the football game. I'll see you guys next week.